The alien ship moved through space like a giant silver fish. Ambassador Zixtal stood on the bridge and looked at the blue planet ahead. Earth, the humans called it. This would be his 43rd first contact mission. He had met peaceful traders, wise scholars, and gentle farmers from across the galaxy. Each time, the process was the same. Meet, talk, share knowledge, and welcome another species into the galactic family. "Sir, the human vessel is approaching," said his aide, Colum. The young alien's tentacles twitched with excitement. This was his first mission. Zixtal smiled with his 3 mouths. "Remember, Colum, all species are different, but deep down, we all want the same things: peace, trade, and friendship." The human ship was much smaller than theirs. It looked rough and simple compared to their smooth diplomatic vessel. But Zixtal had learned not to judge species by their technology. Some of the wisest beings in the galaxy lived in mud huts. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his chair aboard the human ship and watched the alien vessel grow larger on his screen. His crew was nervous. This was humanity's first meeting with aliens. Jake had been chosen because he was calm under pressure and good with words. "Open a channel," Jake said. The screen flickered and showed a tall, thin alien with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. The creature wore flowing robes and had a kind face. "Greetings, humans of Earth," Zixtal said in perfect English. The translation device worked perfectly. "I am Ambassador Zixtal of the Galactic Confederation. We welcome you to the community of worlds." Jake smiled and leaned forward. "Well, hello there. I'm Captain Jake Morrison. Nice to meet you. We're pretty excited about this whole thing." "As are we," Zixtal replied. "We have studied your world from a distance. You appear to be a peaceful species. Your cities are well organized and your art is beautiful." Jake laughed. "Peaceful? Well, I guess that depends on how you look at it. We've had our share of wars over the years. Still do, actually. But we're working on it." Zixtal's smile faded slightly. Wars were not uncommon among young species. They usually grew out of it. "I see. And how do you resolve conflicts now?" "Oh, you know, the usual ways. Sometimes we fight it out. Sometimes we talk. Sometimes we just agree to disagree and go our separate ways. We're pretty stubborn, but we're also good at bouncing back from things." The ambassador made notes on his tablet. Humans seemed more direct than most species, but this was not unusual. "Tell me about your culture," Zixtal said. "What do humans do for enjoyment?" Jake's eyes lit up. "Oh man, we do all sorts of crazy stuff. Some people like to jump out of perfectly good airplanes. Others like to climb really tall mountains just to see what's up there. My brother loves to swim with sharks." Zixtal's aide dropped his tablet. Swimming with sharks? Jumping from aircraft? These were clearly translation errors. "I'm sorry," Zixtal said carefully. "Did you say your people voluntarily place themselves in mortal danger for pleasure?" "Sure," Jake said, not noticing the alien's shocked expression. "We call them extreme sports. Bungee jumping, rock climbing, deep sea diving. There's this thing called base jumping where you jump off really high buildings and cliffs. It's a rush." Colum made a choking sound. Zixtal held up a hand to quiet him. "And this is common behavior among your species?" "Pretty common, yeah. Not everyone does it, but lots of people do. We also keep dangerous animals as pets. Dogs, cats, horses. Some people even keep snakes and spiders." "Snakes and spiders," Zixtal repeated, slowly. "In the galactic database, both were listed as predatory species to be avoided. Yeah, they're pretty cool. My neighbor has this huge python named Fred. Sweetest snake you ever met. And my daughter wants a tarantula for her birthday." The ambassador's 3 hearts were beating very fast now. This was not going according to the standard first contact protocol. Dr. Lisa Grant appeared on screen next to Jake. She had been listening to the conversation from the science station. "Captain Morrison," she said quietly, "I think we might be confusing our new friends." She turned to the alien ambassador. "Hello, I'm Dr. Grant. I study animal behavior. Perhaps I can help explain human psychology." Zixtal felt relieved. Finally, a scientist who could provide rational explanations. "Please, doctor." We are very interested in understanding your species better. Lisa smiled. Well, humans evolved as persistence hunters. We chased our prey across long distances until they collapsed from exhaustion. This gave us a high tolerance for discomfort and danger. We also developed strong social bonds and learned to work together in difficult situations. That sounds quite reasonable, Zixtal said. Yes, but it also made us curious about dangerous things. We tend to poke at stuff we probably shouldn't. We eat plants that burn our mouths because we like the feeling. We drink poison that makes us happy but damages our livers. We climb things, jump off things, and generally do stuff that other species might think is stupid. Zixtal stared at her. You consume toxins voluntarily? Oh yeah. Alcohol, caffeine, capsaicin from hot peppers. Some humans even eat things that could kill them if prepared wrong. There's this fish that's super poisonous, but some people think it tastes really good. The ambassador looked at his aide. Colum had turned a pale green color and was breathing heavily. Dr. Grant, Zixtal said slowly, are you telling me that humans regularly engage in potentially lethal activities for entertainment and consume dangerous substances for pleasure? Pretty much, yeah. We also like loud music that can damage our hearing, bright lights that hurt our eyes, and we stay up way too late doing things we enjoy. Oh, and we keep having babies even though it's really painful and expensive. Jake laughed. She's right. We're probably not the most sensible species in the galaxy, but hey, we have fun. Zixtal sat down heavily in his chair. In 4 decades of diplomatic service, he had never encountered anything like this. The humans seemed friendly enough, but they were clearly insane. Ambassador, Colum whispered, what do we do now? Zixtal looked at the smiling humans on his screen. They seemed so normal, so pleasant. But everything they described went against every principle of rational behavior known to galactic science. I think, he said quietly, we're going to need a bigger manual. 3 months had passed since first contact with Earth. Director Quintar sat at the head of a long table in the Galactic Safety Commission building. Around him sat representatives from 40 different worlds. Their faces showed worry and confusion. Fellow beings, Quintar began, his voice echoing in the large room. We have a problem. The humans are unlike any species we have ever encountered. He pressed a button and a large screen showed videos from Earth. The aliens watched in horror as humans jumped from tall bridges with only ropes tied to their feet. They saw people riding down mountains on small boards at dangerous speeds. They watched humans swimming in water filled with creatures that could eat them. This is what they call recreation, Quintar said. Fun activities they do in their spare time. A delegate from Proxima Prime raised her hand. Surely these are criminals being punished. No, Quintar replied. These people pay money to do these things. They enjoy it. The room filled with shocked whispers. No known species in the galaxy sought out danger for pleasure. It went against every survival instinct. There's more, Quintar continued. He showed pictures of humans with small tigers in their homes, humans holding venomous snakes, and humans eating plants that made their faces turn red and sweat pour down their skin. They keep predators as companions and consume substances that cause physical pain because they find it pleasant. A representative from the peaceful Centauri system stood up. Director, what do you recommend we do? Quintar looked around the room. We must protect the galaxy. I propose that all human products, services, and activities require warning labels. We cannot allow other species to be exposed to human ideas without proper caution. Meanwhile, on Earth, engineer Pete Collins was packing his bags. He had been chosen to represent human technology in the first trade negotiations with aliens. He was excited to share human inventions with the galaxy. Dr. Amy Rodriguez was packing too. As a physicist, she hoped to learn about alien science and share human discoveries. Both of them thought this would be the beginning of a wonderful partnership. Their ship docked at Nexus Point, a huge space station that served as a meeting place for different species. Pete and Amy walked through the halls, amazed by the strange and beautiful aliens they saw. They reached the trade office and were greeted by a friendly alien named Vexol. He had purple skin and 4 arms, and he seemed nervous. Welcome, humans, Vexol said. Please sit down, we have prepared displays of your products. Pete looked at the table and blinked in surprise. There was a cup of coffee with a bright, red warning label that said, "Danger. May cause heart failure in 73% of known species. Use only under medical supervision." Next to it was a bottle of hot sauce with an even bigger warning. "Extreme hazard. Contains capsaicin levels that may cause permanent tissue damage. Humans only." Amy picked up a music player. The warning label covered half the device. Warning. Sound levels may cause hearing loss, brain damage, or death in most species. Humans appear immune to these effects. "What's all this?" Pete asked. Vexel shifted uncomfortably. "Safety regulations. Your species has unique tolerances. We must protect other beings from human products." Pete looked at more items. Human chocolate had warnings about toxicity to aliens. Human movies were labeled as psychologically disturbing due to violence content. Even human books had warnings about dangerous ideas that may encourage risky behavior. "This is crazy," Amy said. "These are normal things for us." "That's exactly the problem," Vexel replied. "What is normal for humans is deadly for everyone else." Pete picked up a small bottle of aspirin. The warning label was 3 times bigger than the bottle itself. "This is just medicine for headaches. For you, perhaps. For most species, this would shut down their nervous systems." Amy shook her head. "How are we supposed to trade if everything we make is considered dangerous?" Before Vexel could answer, alarms started ringing throughout the station. Red lights flashed and a voice announced, "Critical system failure in Sector 7, all personnel evacuate immediately." Vexel's forearms started shaking. "The power core. If it overloads, the entire station will explode." Through the windows, they could see aliens running in panic. Ships were leaving the station as fast as possible. "What's the problem exactly?" Pete asked calmly. "The cooling system failed. Someone needs to manually restart it, but the radiation levels are lethal. No one can survive long enough to complete the procedure." Pete stood up. "Where is it?" "You don't understand," Vexel said. "It's impossible. Anyone who goes in there will die." "Maybe," Pete said. "But maybe not. I've worked with dangerous equipment before." "Where is it?" Amy grabbed her scanner. "I'll come with you. I can monitor the radiation levels." Vexel stared at them. "You want to voluntarily enter a lethal radiation zone?" "Well, someone has to fix it," Pete said, "and everyone else already left." 20 minutes later, Pete was wearing a radiation suit and walking into Sector 7. Amy stayed outside, guiding him through radio. The radiation was indeed dangerous, but not immediately fatal for humans. "Okay, I see the problem," Pete said over the radio. "Just some loose connections and a stuck valve. Give me 5 minutes." He worked quickly, whistling a tune while he fixed the cooling system. To him, it was just another repair job. He had worked in worse conditions back on Earth. "Done," he announced. "Systems back online." Pete walked out of the radiation zone and removed his helmet. Amy checked him with her scanner. "You're fine. A little exposure, but nothing serious." Word of what happened spread through the station quickly. Within hours, it had reached every corner of the galaxy. 2 humans had voluntarily entered a situation that would have killed any other species, and they had done it without hesitation. Vexel found them later at the station's restaurant. "I don't understand," he said. "Weren't you afraid?" Pete shrugged. "Sure, a little. But fear doesn't fix broken cooling systems." "Your species is insane," Vexel said, but he was smiling. Amy laughed. "That's what the warning labels are for. News." Reports across the galaxy showed the same story. Humans save space station by ignoring basic survival instincts. 2 humans accomplish impossible tasks while others flee in terror. Human madness proves useful in crisis situation. The Galactic Safety Commission held another emergency meeting. Director Quintar looked tired. "The warning labels aren't enough," he announced. "We need to completely rethink our approach to human integration." But privately, many aliens were beginning to think differently. Maybe having crazy species around wasn't such a bad thing after all. Maybe sometimes you needed someone who was too stupid to know when something was impossible. The humans, meanwhile, were just happy they could help. They still didn't understand what all the fuss was about. 6 months after the space station incident, Kate Williams was sitting in her small office on Mars when her communication device started beeping. She looked at the screen and saw an alien face she didn't recognize. "Ms. Williams," the alien said in broken English. "My name is Zorketh. I represent the mining station on Kepler 186F. We have heard about your work." Kate leaned back in her chair. "What kind of work do you need?" "Pirates," Zorketh said simply. "They have taken our research station. All our security fled when the pirates arrived. We need someone who can handle impossible situations." Kate smiled. "When do you need me there?" 3 days later, Kate arrived at the research station floating in space near a red dwarf star. The station was dark and quiet. The pirates had taken it easily because the alien security team had followed proper safety protocols and evacuated. When faced with superior firepower, Kate docked her small ship and put on her spacesuit. She walked through the empty corridors, checking her scanner. 15 pirates were on the station. They had weapons and they knew the layout. Any reasonable person would call for backup and wait. Kate was not reasonable by galactic standards. She found the pirates in the main control room. They were busy stealing research data and didn't notice her approach. Kate studied the station's layout on her tablet. The power core was 3 levels down. If she could overload it just a little, she could create a feedback pulse that would shut down all electronics on the station for about 10 minutes. Of course, if she miscalculated, the power core would explode and kill everyone, including herself. Kate shrugged and headed for the power core. 20 minutes later, the lights went out. Emergency power kicked in, but all the pirates' weapons and equipment were dead. In the darkness, Kate moved through the station like a ghost. She had trained for situations like this back on Earth. By the time the power came back on, all 15 pirates were tied up in the cargo bay. Kate was sitting in the control room drinking coffee and reading a book. When the rescue ships arrived, they found Kate waiting for them with the pirates ready for pickup. The alien crew stared at her in amazement. "How did you do this?" Zorketh asked. "I used their own power core against them," Kate explained. "Simple physics." "But you could have died." Kate looked puzzled. "Sure, but I didn't. Besides, someone had to stop them." The story spread across the galaxy in hours. Human security consultant defeats 15 pirates single-handedly. Woman uses space station as weapon against criminals. Human ignores death risk to save alien research. Meanwhile, on Earth, businessman Rick Anderson was having the strangest week of his life. His adventure tourism company had been small and local. He offered rock climbing, whitewater rafting, and bungee jumping to humans who wanted excitement. Then the aliens found out about it. His first alien customer was a nervous creature named Bill Nax from Tau Ceti. The being had 3 legs and skin that changed colors when it was scared. Right now it was bright yellow with fear. "You want me to jump off this bridge?" Bill Nax asked, looking down at the river far below. "That's the idea," Rick said. "The rope will catch you before you hit the water. It's perfectly safe." "Safe?" Bill Nax's skin turned even brighter yellow. "You call falling toward certain death safe?" "Well, you don't actually die," Rick explained. "That's the fun part." Bill Nax made the jump and screamed the entire way down. When the rope caught him and bounced him back up, he was laughing and crying at the same time. His skin had turned bright green. "That was the most terrifying and wonderful thing I have ever experienced," he shouted. Within a month, Rick had alien customers from 12 different worlds. They came to Earth specifically to experience what they called human-level danger. Activities that humans considered mildly exciting were advertised across the galaxy as death-defying adventures. Rick had to hire more staff and build bigger facilities. Aliens paid huge amounts of money to do things that human children did for fun. Dr. Nina Foster was having her own strange experience with fame. She was a marine biologist who studied shark behavior. For years, she had been swimming with sharks to observe them in their natural habitat. It was just part of her job. Then someone posted a video of her work on the Galactic Network. The video showed Nina swimming calmly next to a great white shark. She was taking notes on her waterproof tablet, while the shark swam around her. To Nina, it was just another day at work. The shark was well-fed and curious, not aggressive. To the rest of the galaxy, it was the most horrifying thing they had ever seen. The video got billions of views in the first week. Aliens watched in terror as Nina reached out to touch the shark's fin. They couldn't understand how she remained so calm next to a creature that could eat her in one bite. Nina became famous overnight. News crews from dozens of worlds wanted to interview her. She appeared on talk shows across the galaxy, always confused by the attention. "It's not dangerous if you understand shark behavior," she tried to explain to a panel of alien journalists. "Sharks don't usually attack humans. We're not their normal food." The aliens didn't believe her. To them, she was either the bravest being in the galaxy or completely insane. Many thought both. One interviewer asked, "Dr. Foster, what do you say to critics who call human behavior suicidal?" Nina thought for a moment. "I'd say they don't understand what suicidal means. If I wanted to die, I wouldn't wear protective gear or study animal behavior first. I do my research, I take precautions, I just don't let fear stop me from doing my job." "But the fear is rational," the interviewer protested. "These creatures could kill you." "So could a lot of things," Nina replied. "I could die in a car accident, on the way to work. I could slip in the shower, I could choke on my lunch. But I don't spend my life hiding from every possible danger. That's not living." The interview became the most watched program in galactic history. Philosophers and scientists debated Nina's words on every world. Some called her wisdom profound. Others called her completely mad. Back on Earth, humans watched the galactic coverage with amusement. They couldn't understand what the big deal was. To them, Kate was just doing her job. Rick was running a normal business and Nina was studying fish. But across the galaxy, humans were becoming legendary. They were the species that could do impossible things because they were too crazy to know. They were impossible. Some aliens were terrified of humans, others were fascinated. But everyone was talking about them. The galaxy would never be the same. The emergency call came at 3 in the morning. Carl Davis was drinking coffee in his kitchen when his phone rang. He looked at the caller ID and saw it was from the Kepler 442b colony. "Carl, we need your team," said Director Yulmek, an alien who ran the colony's construction projects. "The space elevator is broken. Really broken." Carl scratched his head. "How broken?" "The main cable snapped in 3 places during the storm last night. It's hanging in the atmosphere, swaying in the wind. The whole structure could collapse any minute." "Okay," Carl said. "When do you need us there?" There was silence on the other end. "Carl, I don't think you understand. Every other construction company in the galaxy has said it cannot be fixed. The structure is too unstable. The winds are too strong. The height is too dangerous. It's impossible." Carl smiled. "Good thing you called humans then." 2 days later, Carl and his team of 6 construction workers arrived at Kepler 442b. The space elevator stretched from the planet's surface up into orbit. It was a beautiful piece of engineering when it worked properly. Now it looked like a broken guitar string, twisted and damaged. The alien construction crews had evacuated the area. They stood far away from the base of the elevator, watching through telescopes from what they considered a safe distance. Carl's team stood at the base of the elevator, looking up at the broken cable swaying in the alien wind. "Well," said Mike Sullivan, Carl's demolition expert, "that's definitely broken." "Can we fix it?" asked Jenny Park, the team's engineer. Carl studied the damage through binoculars. "Sure. We just need to climb up there, cut away the damaged sections, and splice in new cable." The alien supervisor, Kekstar, approached them carefully. "Mr. Davis, perhaps you don't understand the danger. The cable is unstable. The winds at that height reach 200 kilometers per hour. The atmospheric pressure will kill most species, and if the cable snaps while you're on it, we'll fall," Carl finished. "Yeah, we figured that part out." "And you still want to attempt this?" Carl's team was already unpacking their equipment. They had brought climbing gear, cutting tools, and enough cable to replace the damaged sections. "Look," Carl said, "someone built this thing in the first place, right? So it can be fixed. We just need to be careful and do the job right. The aliens set up cameras to record what they were certain would be the last moments of 6 humans. News crews from across the galaxy tuned in to watch the human suicide mission. Carl and his team rode the elevator car up to the first break in the cable. The car shook and swayed in the violent winds. Through the windows, they could see the ground far below. "Nice view," commented Danny Ross, the team's welder. At the first break, they put on their safety harnesses and stepped outside the car. The wind immediately tried to blow them off the cable, but they had dealt with high winds before on Earth. "Okay, people," Carl said over the radio. "Standard procedure. Cut out the damaged section, splice in the new cable, test the connection, and move on." They worked steadily, hanging from the cable like it was just another construction job. Carl made jokes over the radio to keep everyone relaxed. Mike sang old songs while he cut through twisted metal. Jenny calculated stress loads while hanging upside down in 200-kilometer-per-hour winds. Across the galaxy, billions of aliens watched in horror and amazement. The humans were working calmly at a height where the air was thin and the winds were deadly. They moved with confidence and skill as if they were fixing a fence in their backyard. "This is Galactic News Network," said the alien reporter covering the story. "The humans have been working for 6 hours now. They have repaired the first break and are moving to the second. Our experts say what they are doing should be impossible. The second break was higher up, where the atmospheric pressure was even lower. The humans put on breathing masks and kept working." "How are you feeling up there, Carl?" asked the reporter over the radio. "Pretty good," Carl replied while hanging from a cable 50 kilometers above the planet. "The weather's not too bad today. Yesterday would have been rougher." Engineer Megan Torres was working on the third and highest break when something went wrong. A gust of wind stronger than the others hit the cable, and it started to shake violently. "Hold on, everyone," Carl shouted. The cable twisted and swayed. Any reasonable species would have evacuated immediately. Megan looked at the damage she was trying to fix, then at her safety line, then at the tools in her hands. "I can finish this," she said calmly. "Just give me 2 more minutes." She kept working while the cable bucked like an angry horse. The aliens, watching, could not believe what they were seeing. The human was continuing to work while the entire structure threatened to collapse. "Megan," Carl said over the radio, "maybe we should come back when it's calmer." "Almost done," she replied. She stopped working for a moment and took out her phone. "Hey, this is pretty cool. I'm going to take a picture." She took a selfie while hanging from a breaking space elevator in deadly winds, then went back to work. "There," she said a minute later. "All fixed. This cable should hold just fine now." The repairs took 12 hours total. When Carl's team rode the elevator car back down to the surface, they found thousands of aliens waiting for them. Some were cheering. Others were just staring in shock. "How do you feel?" asked a reporter. "Tired," Carl said. "And hungry. Is there a good restaurant around here?" The story became the most watched event in galactic history. Humans repair impossible structure while taking selfies. Construction crew ignores certain death to finish job. Human workers treat deadly. Situation is normal day at office. But something had changed in how aliens viewed humans. They weren't just crazy anymore. They were crazy and incredibly competent. The footage of Megan taking a selfie while fixing a space elevator became a symbol across the galaxy. Not of human insanity, but of human confidence and skill. Director Yulmek found Carl at the hotel that evening. "I have a question," the alien said. "How did you know you could fix it?" Carl shrugged. "Someone had to, and we're pretty good at fixing things. Besides, what's the worst that could happen?" Yulmek stared at him. "You could have died." "Sure," Carl said, "but we didn't. And now your elevator works again." The alien shook his head in wonder. "Your species is remarkable." "We're just doing our job," Carl replied. "But thanks." That night, the galactic news was full of analysis and debate. Scientists tried to explain human psychology. Philosophers discussed the nature of courage and fear. But in construction sites across the galaxy, the message was simpler. When the impossible needs doing, call the humans. 1 year after first contact, the galaxy had changed completely. Ben Clark stood in the council chamber of New Harmony Station, the first colony designed for both humans and aliens to live together safely. The station was divided into different zones. Green zones were safe for all species. Yellow zones required protective gear for non-humans. Red zones were marked humans only, with warning signs in 47 different languages. The coffee shop will go in the yellow zone, Ben explained to the mixed group of human and alien architects. Aliens can visit, but they'll need to wear filters to protect against caffeine vapors. Zillek, the station's alien safety coordinator, made notes on his tablet. What about the gymnasium? Red zone, Ben said. Human exercise routines are too intense for other species. We don't want anyone getting hurt watching humans lift heavy objects for fun. It had taken months of careful planning, but they had figured out how to make it work. Humans could be themselves and other species could interact with them safely. The breakthrough had come from Dr. Helen Price, a human psychologist who had spent the year studying why humans were so different from other galactic species. Helen was giving a lecture that day to a packed auditorium of alien scientists and diplomats. She stood at the podium, looking out at hundreds of curious faces from dozens of different worlds. The key to understanding humans, Helen began, is recognizing that we evolve differently than most species in the galaxy. She pressed a button and showed a picture of early humans hunting on the African plains. Most species evolved to avoid danger. When they encountered something that could hurt them, they ran away or hid. This was smart and helped them survive. The aliens nodded. This made perfect sense to them. But humans evolved as persistence hunters. We didn't run away from dangerous animals. We chased them until they collapsed from exhaustion. This required us to ignore fear and discomfort. Helen showed another picture of humans climbing mountains and crossing dangerous terrain. Over millions of years, we developed brains that could override our fear response when necessary. We learned to calculate risks instead of just avoiding them. We became very good at deciding when danger was acceptable and when it wasn't. Alien scientist raised her hand. But why do humans seek out unnecessary danger? Helen smiled. Because to us it's not unnecessary. Challenging ourselves against difficult situations makes us stronger and smarter. We learn from dangerous experiences. A human who has survived many difficult situations is better prepared for future challenges. She showed a video of human children playing on playground equipment, climbing and jumping and taking small risks. We even train our young to handle danger. We start small and gradually expose them to bigger challenges. By the time they're adults, they can handle situations that would terrify other species. Another alien asked, "Are humans unable to feel fear?" "Oh no," Helen laughed. "We feel fear just like everyone else. But we've learned to work with our fear instead of being controlled by it. Fear gives us information about danger, but it doesn't make our decisions for us." The audience was quiet, thinking about this new understanding of human psychology. So when humans do things that seem impossible to you, Helen continued, they're not being reckless or suicidal. They're using skills that took millions of years to develop. They're calculating risks and deciding that the benefits outweigh the dangers. After the lecture, Helen met with Alex Murphy, the new director of the Human Risk Assessment Bureau. Alex's job was to help other species understand when and how to work with humans on dangerous projects. "How's the new system working?" Helen asked. Alex pulled up files on his computer. "Pretty well. We've got requests from 200 different worlds for human assistance, everything from deep-sea mining to volcano research to asteroid belt construction. Any problems?" "A few. Some species still think we're completely crazy, but most have figured out that we're just good at jobs that other people can't do." Alex showed her a message from a mining company on Rigel Prime. They need someone to repair equipment inside an active volcano. The local workers can't handle the heat and toxic gases. Sending a team? Already on the way. For humans, it's just like working in a steel mill back on Earth. Across the galaxy, the transformation was remarkable. Warning labels were still everywhere, but they had changed. Instead of danger, humans present, they now read, specialized human zone. Extreme conditions handled by trained personnel. Human. Products still had warnings, but they were marketed differently. Human strength coffee experienced the stimulant levels preferred by the galaxy's most resilient species. The extreme tourism industry was booming. Rick Anderson had opened adventure parks on 12 different worlds. Aliens came to experience human-level thrills in carefully controlled environments. Kate Williams had founded the first interspecies security company. Her teams combined human courage with alien technology to handle impossible situations. Dr. Nina Foster was leading an expedition to study the most dangerous ocean life on 6 different worlds. Her research was funded by governments who needed to understand dangerous species but couldn't get close enough to study them. The space elevator repair had changed everything. Megan Torres's selfie had become the most famous image in galactic history. It showed up on posters with the slogan, "When the impossible needs doing, call the humans." Construction companies across the galaxy had human teams for jobs that were too dangerous for other species. The waiting list was months long. Ben Clark received a message from Ambassador Zixtel, the alien who had made first contact with humans a year earlier. "Mr. Clark," the message said, "I wanted to thank you and your species. When we first met humans, we thought you were all insane. Now we realize you're not crazy at all. You're just extraordinarily capable. We've learned something important. From humans, sometimes the things that seem like weaknesses are actually strengths. Your willingness to take risks has made the entire galaxy safer and more prosperous. We look forward to many more years of cooperation and friendship." Ben smiled and typed back a reply. "We're happy to help, just remember to read the warning labels." That evening, Ben stood on the observation deck of New Harmony Station and looked out at the stars. Ships from dozens of worlds were docked at the station. Humans and aliens worked together on projects that would have been impossible just a year ago. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Sometimes you needed someone who was too stubborn to know when something was impossible. Sometimes you needed someone who looked at danger and said, "How hard can it be?" The humans were still the only species that needed warning labels across the galaxy. But now those labels weren't warnings to stay away. They were invitations to watch experts at work. And deep down, many aliens were starting to think that maybe, just maybe, they could learn to be a little more like humans. Not completely crazy, of course, but perhaps a little braver, a little more willing to take calculated risks. The galaxy was a bigger, bolder place with humans in it. And that, everyone agreed, was a good thing.